announcements. Good morning. You'll notice that they're giving handouts. Make sure you get one. All right, let's begin to find a seat and get going. There are two types of handouts that you're going to want. One is a list of the committee reports and pretty much update for 6 months. And the other set is from Mark for the budget. Okay, let's get started. We need a show of hands of all members because I've got to make sure we have a quorum to have a meeting. Please. Yes, we have a quorum. Thank you very much. All right. Welcome to the Winter Congregational Meeting. These meetings are critical for the life of the church, so thank you very much for your participation today. It is the congregation, as you recall, for the new members, I'd like to point this out. It is the congregation, you, who approves the administrative work of the council. Makes you very important. First up. I'm sorry, louder? Okay, thank you. Great. I appreciate the feedback. These are the church leaders at this point with our council. Okay, and next slide. You have the order of our agenda. Sam, in terms of a pastor update, a budget, facilities, endowment, and mission statement. So we have a lot to cover. We're going to do this as quickly as we can. So first up, I'd like to invite Pastor Sam to open us with a prayer and then deliver her pastor's report, please. Sam?
Great. Bruce told me that this session is the airing of the grievances. Just teasing. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Just teasing. Please join me in prayer. Source of all life, we come before you aware of the need for love in our world, your creation. As we turn toward matters of wallet and space, our facilities, let us be led by a sense of gratitude. We have not only each other, but great opportunities each and every day to carry peace, justice, and mercy with our words and actions. Let us move forward with the nudge from the prophets, both in our lives and in this meeting. We pray all this for your great love's sake. Amen. Okay, so before I forget, the photo at the bottom right there is a lead photo for our new Instagram page. So if you want to go find it on Instagram, you can. I would say that we post on there regularly, but we do not yet. The goal is about once or twice a month. So, dear church, I'm honored to serve among you. I consider this my miniature State of the Church address. I'll keep it short for the benefit of all my pals, Mark, Pete, Bruce, etc. I have 10 copies of this report for anyone who might want it in printed form. First, I want to tell you that we are well. We have welcomed many different ages into our spiritual community here since I've started. That was last May. Last weekend, we baptized 2 babies. We have a young family who's going to be joining at some point soon. There's even a teenager who's considering joining. I don't think I have to tell you how exciting it is that a teenager is even considering becoming a part of a church. You should be proud of yourselves. I am. Now, with great opportunities like these to care for folks spiritually comes great responsibility. And so, we shall take good care, tending financially, stewarding, caring for our property, and showing the world around us that we are called towards and for love, named in Christ. I'm going to leave that bullet point for Mark, Pete, and Bruce to hash out in their reports, but I want to assure all of you that I've had many meetings with each of them and many of you about things that relate to this, as well as our strategic planning. That is asking questions of how and where we believe God is calling our community in 5, 10, and 15 years' time. Next, pastoral care and worship needs are significant, and we are in this together. With regard to pastoral care, it will not surprise you to know that folks are struggling with what's going on politically. We also have folks who show up to our church because we are a church that does social good. Maybe they don't show up for need or with need on Sunday morning, but they show up seeking support. And I believe we should continue to be prepared to support people who show up with needs, especially those related to food insecurity. Theologically, we will continue to proclaim and profess that all people are of sacred worth. Our community of faith will remain open to people who have been cast aside. With regard to worship, I am still adjusting to cultural differences between Oregon and New England. Further, what I'm learning is that we each and all have thoughts about what would be best for worship. I want to encourage and implore you to come to me with feedback, positive, negative, and in between. I want to hear from you. It saves us work when you come directly to me or you send me an email directly. Let's save ourselves some time. I want to hear from you. Further, I want to train us in the wisdom of the numerous clergy people at the large progressive Christian church in New York City called Riverside. They say there, if you as a congregant are happy with 75% of worship, then work to be content. The other 25% is for someone else down the row from you. I likely need not tell you, Riverside is a vibrant community with folks of all ages. Finally, May 16th will be the pastor's installation, my installation service, 2 p.m. It's a Saturday. The installation service is intentionally set on a Saturday so people from all over many faith communities can come. It is a moment for us to shine for the broader UCC community. As I've told many of you in church meetings already, our church has a great reputation. People are going to show up for us to celebrate. This is one opportunity where we will have the chance to say, look at this amazing community we have. We are proud of it. And a plug for the preacher who's going to preach that day, the Reverend Krista Betts is a higher up in the United Church of Christ. She's my leader when I go away to the young clergy gatherings. So, she's not to be missed. Come and hear her preach on May 16th. Thanks for listening, y'all. I yield my time to the fellow with spreadsheets.
Sam misspoke. It's not only a time for the congregation to show off, but also to show off our wonderful new pastor. This is a time when we certify that, yes, we have indeed got a winner that we want to keep. Mark is going to talk to us about the budget.
Morning. Can you hear me well? Okay. The Amish make quilts, and they put one mistake in it to show that they're not perfect. Thanks to Bill for pointing out my one mistake already, at least. That's not usually an accountant tradition. Let me give first a quick stewardship update. Our goal in 2025, we had 97 pledges. Our goal for 26 was 100, and our actual number of pledges was 94. So we missed our goal on number of pledges, but we made our goal. We had pledged a little over $380,000 in 2025. 2026, our goal was $410,000, and the actual amount was 412. So we actually, yeah. So that's the summer there. 2025, going very quickly through things. You have 25 numbers in front of you. We had a great year. We projected that we were going to have well, let's just go through it as a slide. Utilities and facilities were a little bit more than we expected. We did end up with about $6,600 of insurance savings, thanks to work that Katie did on getting the alarm system at the church. So that reduced our insurance premiums for the year. So that was a great savings. Giving exceeded expectations by $54,000. So we had an amazing year of people making extra contributions. I know that in some of my reports during the year, I said, things are going to be more expensive than we expected. Utilities will be more than we expected. They weren't that much more, but thank you. People stepped up and made some extra contributions during the year. We expected to finish with a $15K negative budget last year. Instead, we finished with about a $10,000 surplus, and that $10,000 surplus was after council approved contributing to several reserve accounts. And so we really finished with something like a $38,000 budget, but rather than having an argument today about where we should spend it, council made the decision ahead of time. So we had a great year. Our financial position is made up of a couple different things. We have some money in memorials, which has been relatively static. Even as treasurer, I'm not sure how we spend that money, so that's something we should probably look into over the next few years. We've taken that money in before my time. It's still there. I'm not sure what limitations it has. We need to understand that. We have what we call in-out accounts, and I gave you in the summary sheet, I gave you a page that describes all of our in-out accounts. And these are accounts that are not part of the budget. It's a little bit confusing. These are not part of the budget. They are often a spending account for a ministry. Naturescaping has received grants that can only be spent for naturescaping, so we track them separately here. People give money for the special offerings, so each of the special offerings has a line item here. So I've divided them up because I think it helps to think about it, that there are sort of committee spending accounts, there are pass-through accounts where we're collecting money for the endowment, and then there are reserve accounts. Our reserve accounts went from about $34,000 to about $73,000. So we bumped up a lot of reserves during this past year with the extra spending, or the extra gifts that we received. The committee accounts are hovering around $54,000. If your committee account is negative, or if your change was zero, I will be talking to you this year to try and understand what's going on there. We shouldn't have negative accounts there, and the ones that where we don't spend any money, maybe those are historical and we don't need them anymore. But these are the accounts that are not directly part of the budget, but part of our assets. And then the remaining assets are the general fund of the church that we have left over from previous years. And we have money left over from previous years. That money has historically not been, mostly it's been sitting in checking and savings, earning what checking and savings earns, which is about 0.01% or whatever. So we are going to try and invest a little bit of that money this year in dollar-denominated, very safe investments that we can get out with about 1 or 2 days of notice. That will give us some interest income from that money this year to help towards our budget. All right, statement of financial position, this also kind of covers that. So then we're on to the 2026 budget. And here's where Bill is pointing out my error. On your summary sheet, the total expense says $492,000. That should be $495,000 and $513. So it's off by $3,500. That has to do with errors in the spreadsheet. I caught most of them and I didn't understand. I don't know where that last little bit is, but we are putting $3,000 towards the youth mission trip this year, and that didn't get reflected properly into that line. So, but the fourth, we're budgeting a total income of about $476,660. Our expenses are going to be higher than that. With we have a negative budget again. Yes, no? They were emailed out on Wednesday. Yep. Yeah, these emailed on Wednesday, and I don't know. We can find a way to make them align. Okay. Jen says we can put them on the website. Okay. Maybe I'll try and get that $3,500 correction in there too. Okay, so we are still proposing a negative budget. We didn't want to do that, but I want to point out a couple different things about that. We use Breeze. Some of you may use that to do an online giving. After our pledge campaign, there are people giving through Breeze, through reoccurring gifts, for about $12,000 a year who didn't pledge. So we have kind of a pledge for $12,000 a year through Breeze. So if we ignore that, then we're down to about $6,700 that we're short. Given that we so far exceeded our budget last year, I have some confidence that we can cover that last $7,000 difference in budget. The other thing to note is that our budget, for the first time in a little while, also includes reserves. So we have some money going into the building reserves. We have some money going into the Mary Mac House reserves. We have some money going into reserves for when Sam takes their sabbatical. We have some reserve money going into the trip for the youth. So these are monies that are not a bill collector is going to come say, hey, we need to pay this money. So if we get to November and the economy has gone way south and our income is not matching that, if we can't make that $7,000 aspirational goal, then we have some options to trim back towards the end of the year. So that's why I'm okay with proposing that. This is a negative budget, but it's a stretch budget, and I think it's within our means. With that, give it back to Bruce, unless there's questions. I'm happy to do discussions of this, talk about it. Maybe an adult ed after church sometime would be useful for people too. Question in the back. That's money on pass-through. We collect money for endowment and then give it to the endowment. That money's already been transferred in 2026, but as of the 31st, it hadn't been transferred. So this is if you give money to the church saying, and mark it saying it's for the endowment, it goes in that account till we get it transferred. Yes, Mario. No, we pay all of that. And that is also partially from naturescaping, watering a lot of trees. So, yeah, but now naturescaping is using hoses too. So it's not just there. So there was some discussion about whether or not we were going to try and charge naturescaping for the water. We didn't end up doing anything about it, but it might make sense because they're getting grants. It might make sense to have naturescaping reimburse a little bit for the water, but we didn't do anything this year. That's not part of our lease. That is our lease. I'm not even sure in Oregon, sometimes you have to include water as a lease. Oh, yep. The question was the utilities for, which building was that? For the education facility, the water utilities were quite high. And, you know, why is that? And then have we considered having the preschool pay for some of that? But I think our rent has to cover providing a building with water. That's a requirement usually for a landlord. So that's not an option, but there is some watering that's happening from the naturescaping from that. So. Yeah, the comment was that it was about half of what the rent was that they're paying was going to that water. But I think the other part of that is that that's not all their water, right? So, you know, all of our, you know, all the clean dishes on Sunday morning are taking that water and stuff like that. I'm not sure where the meters go exactly. But yeah, that is something we are watching, and we did try and break it. Yeah, the comment was that fellowship is listed separately. So. Any other questions? And again, like I said, I think there's a lot of interesting things here. This tells a lot about who we are as a community. The money is not important. The money supports who we are and what we do. We have to have the money to support who we are and what we want to do. The bottom line is this budget is roughly in line with what we've been doing. I did have this one last slide to share, and this is not in the handout. The blue is our pledges all the way back to 2019. The green is our actual. So every year we've exceeded our pledges a little bit. And if you look at our linear pledge, it's pretty flat. But the number of pledges has bounced around quite a lot, and we are on the lower end of the number of pledges historically that we had. The number of pledges is the green line in the middle. 94 pledges. So I think what we want to focus on going forward is we want to have, the other thing I should mention is I've corrected all of this with the cost of living. So these are all 2026 dollars. This is not the highest. This is the highest dollars we have ever had, but the older dollars were worth more. Sorry. This is all corrected 2026 dollars. So they're all constant. So we've had a very flat budget for a long time, which is good through a transition, but if we want to grow, we should grow from where we are and from this base that we've created.
That was amazing. That's an awful lot of numbers to get your head around if you've seen the spreadsheet. So, yeah. Thank you, Mark. One of the things that's required is an example of your responsibility. We have to approve the budget by vote. So by voice vote. Everyone in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed say nay. It is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Mark. Next, we have several committees, and you know this, of one. Fellowship, nominating committee. Katie gets up in the morning and says, I'm chair of nominating committee by virtue of being the outgoing moderator, and I want to talk to my committee. And the mirror responds, yes, Katie, whatever you want, Katie. Be aware of this when people come asking sometimes for the church and what we want to do, especially if we grow. There are some things we have to backfill in terms of making more robust so we can handle things. One example. Oh, louder. Yes, thank you, April. One very good example is facilities. Who are you going to call? Pete, please.
Okay, I'll try to remember to speak loudly for people. Go from money to facilities, very exciting stuff. But welcome to the wonderful world of facilities. My name is Pete Neal. If you haven't met me or I haven't met you, my name is Pete. And as you know, we have a pretty big campus, old and new, and sometimes it needs some attention. I want to tell a quick story. A couple years ago, we had a custodian named Charlie, and he had taken extended vacation. Yeah, good old Charlie. Had to go take an extended vacation to see his mom, so we needed to get a replacement. And his replacement ran into a problem one day, and so he put up a sign. So I'm not sure if that was an insult or a compliment, but so we are looking to grow our facilities work group, and we'd like your help. So you may be sitting there thinking, well, I don't have the time. You know, time is the one precious resource that we don't have enough of, and we can't get more of, unfortunately. But however, not all of facilities is urgent, like an ice storm or a clogged toilet or a light out that I saw earlier. For every clogged toilet, there's a need to arrange for a temporary replacement of the custodian. So you can donate as much or as little of your time as you can. You don't need to have a hard commitment or a long-term commitment. You just need to be willing to help when asked. And it's always okay to say no for certain things. But you may be thinking, well, I'm no handyman. Well, this is what YouTube is for. That's what I use. Everybody has a different set of skills. We all have skills, and you may even get to learn some new skills. Not everything involves a ladder, don't worry. Although a lot of things do. I'll do the ladder work. Well, it's too much for one person. Some people might say, you know, well, you're not alone. There's lots of people who chip in all kinds of ways, as you've seen and you probably have done yourself. A lot of the facilities work is actually time management and project management, which some of you might be doing at work, and so you might have those skills already. It's a great way to get involved in the life of the church, and you can connect with others on a closer basis. You can work with the church staff and the church leadership, and it can be kind of fun sometimes. So if any of this sounds good to you, I would encourage you to think on it. That's it. And one such project, this is the surprise announcement that I'm happy to announce, is that we as a church are finally going forward with installing a solar-powered panel system at Chuck. We've cleared our engineering evaluation. We're planning on 95 solar panels on the roof, which will provide us with 43.7 kilowatts of power. So we've all long wanted to be a greener church. We've had efforts like naturescaping and LED light bulbs and room light timers. And so after many years of dreaming, this is the year that it's going to happen. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Bruce to talk about the funding.
Well, first of all, let me just say this is a game changer. And thanks for the introduction, Pete. People are saying, God, this stuff is expensive, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's almost $100,000 of expense. But I'm delighted to tell you that the endowment committee is going to support this. Typically, we support what I call off-budget items. There's an ice storm, there's a blow-up in the plumbing system at Mary Mack House. We come in with our money that's not in the budget and pay for it. Well, certainly, this is not in our budget. You just saw that. I have to say, this is the best investment that we have ever made in the endowment committee. And the reason it is, Pete didn't share that to you, but right now we're paying about, I think it's $1,200 a month for electricity. And when this is done and operating, we'll be paying about $25 a month, which is the minimum amount we can pay because PG&E wants us to pay that interconnect fee, I think is what it is. We are saving over $1,100 a month. And that is, by my math, that's over $13,000 a year. Okay, so this is by far the best investment, and this continues on. It's not just 1 year. These things have got we got a 20-year life on these. Now there'll be some maybe not working as well further on, but that's a lot of money that we're going to save. So let's talk about the financing. there, the cost is about $100,000. We have, in the form of credits from the Energy Trust of Oregon, $26,220. This is all based on an engineering study and working with a group that's done this before, and they know their ropes, so to speak. Secondly, we have a $30,000 federal refundable credit. Now, for those of you that want to understand what that is, we don't pay taxes. So this is cash that comes to us from the federal government. And yes, the federal government, under our current leadership, is still paying this. They are not paying it to you as an individual to do your house. So that leaves us with a net cost of about $51,000. The endowment has made a $10,000 contribution. We are offering to anybody today the chance to invest in our long-term health, and at $500 a panel is the estimated cost. So if you have an interest in that, talk to Bruce Goya. We also have donor commitments for $51,314. So that gives us total sources of about $61,314. That's in addition to what the Fed and the state are giving us. So if there are any excesses to this, by virtue of the fact that someone comes up with $5,000, let's say, to buy panels for the rooftop on their own outside of what I've shown here, then the money will go back into, excess money will go back into building reserves. So I think this is, like I said, this is a game changer. It supports our mission for the environment. It also supports our mission to remain as solvent as we can. Thanks very much. If you have any questions, talk to Mark, talk to me, or Bruce. Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Nell. The question is, well, Bruce, you see we've raised $61,000 and there's a need for $51,000. So is there a need to make a further donation by members of the congregation? The answer is no, there is not. No, there's not. But we know, yes, thank you for that. But we know that perhaps there might be people that would be willing to do this because it's such a fine commitment of resources. And we didn't want to deny that to the congregation. Does that answer your question, Nell? Yes, thank you. That'll be at the, yeah, the question is, where will that go? That'll be at the council's choice, and I think it's intended to go to a building reserve fund. That's what it says on the slide. But I guess you can't read from the back row. But anyway, that's my understanding of it, yes. Any more questions? Maybe a week, 2 weeks. It's going to happen soon. What's Mark's got something on this? About a month, okay. No, there's no trees going down. Nope. Okay, the question is, are we taking any trees down? The answer is no. No. And Ann, you had a question? Yeah, what company are we using? I don't know the name. Mark, what's the name? What company are we using? Pinnacle Solar Northwest, who've done work for some of our parishioners. Yes. Well, now we're getting into Pete's stuff, aren't we? The question is, when was the last time we updated the roof? And will the solar panels compromise the roof? And will they outlast the roof? This is turning into quite a long question, and very good questions. Very good questions. I'm going to ask that my time is up, and the henchman's right behind me. I can answer quickly and say it's 20 years for the solar panels. We think that's about the life of the roof, and it will not compromise. These will be installed on top of the roof, not drilled into the roof. Thank you.
I can answer that question because Pete and I have been climbing on the roof, financial numbers and things too. Yeah, the roof is covered by Anderson Roofing, and Dan from Anderson Roofing has been out as part of this project and talking to them. What the proposed system is it's essentially plastic buckets sitting on the roof, plastic containers that are designed for a 25-year life. It's going to be weighted down, but there will be no holes drilled into the roof, which is, so Dan from Anderson Roofing was really excited about that. There's one hole that we will have for the electrical feed coming through, but it's over on the children's wing outside of the living space underneath it. So, and then Dan agreed that the roof should have the 25 years of life that we need, because you do not want to have to take a system down. It's not impossible, but it adds to the cost of any roof work that you do. So he agreed that the roof should have the life that it needed. And again, we're working to use the system that does not require screwing it down to the roof. You can. There are ways to do that, but that just increases your chance of a leak over the 25 years. The panels themselves are guaranteed for 25 years. So if they don't meet a certain production curve over the 25 years, we can get them replaced.
Thank you. Good questions. Would like to have a little comment on the $500.
Could y'all go back to the slide with the list that Bruce had? The one that got so many comments. There. The donor commitments, this is an anonymous donor who's graciously decided to support our church's call to care for the environment. The invitation on the basis of what the anonymous donor has decided to graciously do on the recommendation of endowment is to invite all of us who would like to buy one panel or maybe share the cost of a panel, which if you're like me, that's maybe more reasonable. I might call Melissa or so and say, hey, do you want to split this with me and 2 other people? Go in and buy a panel together. We're not going to make plaques or anything like that, but we might have a list of people if council decides, let's put a list out of the other people who joined in because they said, well, we don't really want to be anonymous. I'd like to be recognized. That's okay too. So basically, it's an invitation to be a part of this that this other family has decided to support. Yes. Approximately 500. It's 500. $500 per panel. So if you're a pledging unit and you want to do one panel, you would say, I would like to support $500 worth. It's one panel.
95. This is an exciting thing. Last question, we've got to move on, please. For the 1 month. Really important. The idea was when we came up with a go forward plan and we passed engineering, says, okay, we can do this. The comments that I got were from endowment committee. Can we contribute? This is a perfect thing for why we have an endowment committee. Let's be a part of this. And what personally can I contribute to something? Because I really do believe in the solar panel. Our planet, and we know this, is in dire difficulty. And we want to be a part, a small part, but we want to be a part of going the other way. We want to be the force doing this, and we want to play. We want to be a part of this. Yeah, we're going to have members who say $25, $500 for panel or 2 panels. We will have, that is the nature of this congregation. We want to be a part of this project because I believe so much in it. That's why it came in, but it came in after the fact. So that was the, okay. You know, on donation, we'll put out a little more formal thing on this. That would be appropriate. Putting out a call in ATC type for everybody, describing the opportunity and the giving opportunities for that. Okay, that makes sense. But let's not work that out. We've got to move on. Waffles are waiting. And don't stop the questions, though. If you have questions, you're the congregation. You've got to come forward, talk to us online. And if we have a problem, we'll bring it to the council, we'll try to solve it, and then we'll get back to you. But let's move on, okay? This is an exciting project. This is the surprise for this church, and this is the magic and the strength of this church that constantly surprises us. Welcome. And don't forget the tech team. Right. Okay, and last but not least, Council's been working since August to provide what we're going to provide for you now on a mission statement, a working mission statement, and goals and objectives for the church. It says in your bylaws that we, the council, are to report to you on the church's objectives. So we took this very seriously in a larger fashion than we have done before. So please. Our mission statement, or our working mission statement, was what we created with the help of the members of the council to give us guidance on what the goals and objectives would look like. So I want you to all read this mission statement together, because this is on your behalf, and we will take comments on this as well on a go-forward basis. Join me. The mission of Cedar Hills United Church of Christ is to spiritually grow, strengthen our beloved congregation. Together, we enthusiastically share God's unconditional love with each other and with the wider world. That is our vision. Having said that, council then said, okay, what are the goals and objectives? The goals identified are 2. And they are overarching goals for the objectives that you're going to see for the rest of this year and for ostensibly the next 5 years, as Pastor Sam alluded to. But they are our annual program objectives. They are our annual, thank you, program objectives for the next 5 years, okay? These 2. Let's read them together. Number 1, grow our committed church community while continuing to strengthen opportunities for individual spiritual growth. Number 2, grow the active engagement of our church within our surrounding community. That's the plan, Stan. That's what we're going for. That's what we're shooting. That's what's guiding us. This year, this coming year, the rest of the program year, we have 6 months. So rather than go through the whole list of objectives, I'm going to do this really quickly now in a very summary fashion: who, what, when, where, why. What I need you to do is take the handout, study it, ask questions, make comments, make notes, and bring that back to us. This is your first introduction to what the council was doing on your behalf. Make it so. And if not, give us feedback. Okay, so study it. But for an overview now, let's very quickly go over the who, what, when, where, why. Who? Last August, the council decided we needed an intentional plan to grow the church. What? The working mission statement and the 2 overarching goals which we read, give you where we're going. Then we have a list of objectives that we identified to help us get ready, because we're talking about the first part, get ready for growing the church. And these are grouped into 3 areas. You will see them, it's easier rather than put them on the slide now because it didn't fit in one place. I'm just going to read them. Number 1, improve the infrastructure and foundational processes. Number 2, streamline and strengthen council. Streamline and strengthen council and committee structures. And 3, develop plans which actively extend Chuck's reach into the broader community. That's in the next 6 months. Where? The next 4Cs meeting, the committee chairs and council, will discuss the opportunities for the broader community-facing plan. How do we take this church and make it part of a community resource that's identified by the community as such? When? The next 4Cs meeting that take place is in April. Also, this plan potentially covers 5 program years going forward. The current plan is this current year, it has 6 months left to accomplish the 3 objectives that I just read. Why? Why now? Because it's a good time, because the church is solid, the congregation is solid, and we are called to be a church. This congregation is ready to grow. We all know that those in need, our community, our nation, and this planet need us now to be the church, to play our part, to be more than we have been, and that we can be, to be what we can be, the promise that we bring to the community. We are grateful, we are humbled that we would be a church, proudly progressive and unapologetically Christian. So take home this document, read it closely, and then say a prayer for Cedar Hills United Methodist. Cedar Hills United Church of Christ. Yeah, speak closely into the mic. Yes, I did say Cedar Hills United Church of Christ. We can do that in the same way that we put out an NTC amountment. The handouts that you have, pass them around, read them. Good. Okay, then we will for sure put it online that you will see, and you'll see an announcement on that. Pay attention, there's a section called Key Points. I did not illustrate all the key points. I don't want to take the time for that now. Like I said, this is your introduction to this process. You need to study it. You need to give us feedback. But pay attention to those key points because I want that grounded. That's going to give you grounding for why we're doing this, why we're going this way, and what we're trying to do and how we're going to try to do it. All that went into mind. Got to thank the council for doing this work, especially my 2 cohorts, the moderators, Katie and Ruth. They put a lot of work into helping get this done and get this language done. You can see what's been. But my time's up. We got waffles waiting for us. I'd like to have Sam close us with a prayer that we so badly need.
Y'all have done the spirituality thing, which is figuring out that group as faithfully as I can. But we use this thing called Night Has Fallen, and I've just reworked the words so that we can use it as a closing prayer here. So we'll sing, essentially, I'll go through this whole thing twice through, and you all are invited to respond with the "We are with you, God," and then the "Let us spread your love." And it's easy. So I'll say, "We are with you, God. We are with you, God. You're our Maker. Keep us hoping. You're our Maker. spread your love. Let us spread your love. This our call and our sure journey. This our call and our sure journey. Amen. Thanks for coming today, everybody. Waffles are that way.